Expectancy Violations Theory by Burgoon. Expectancy violations theory is a theory of communication which tries to explain the unexpected behaviors of human beings while interacting. The theory is based out of another theory where the vagueness of the behavior of the other is reduced through interaction. The theory was then developed from nonverbal expectancy violations modeled by Jude K. Burgoon, which described the personal space possessed by a person and how people respond to its violations. People expect or predict particular behavior. The violation can be positively or negatively perceived by the people, depending on the relationship between one another. In our textbook, First Look at Communication Theory, in Chapter 7, Jude Burgoon's theory is actually covered under expectancy violations. Here, a professor realizes that he was asked 4 different questions from 4 different students. He agreed to 2 and disagreed to the other 2. The first one was a sponsorship for a graduate scholarship that a student asked for him. The second one, which he agreed to, was another student asking him to go out for lunch. The 2 that he denied were one, when a student asked for him to go play water polo with other students that he had already played water polo with, and secondly, the other one was help on another professor's scholarship. On another professor's paper from the student that was asking for it. In this case, he denied both of their requests. The first 2, for example, the one where he asked for the sponsorship, was done at a close proximity and interpersonal space, where it came to no violation to the professor in a negative mode. Secondly, this young woman asked him for to go out to eat lunch with her after class one day, and he also agreed. And this one was done in a classroom setting, and she was sitting very far from him. This student was requested and denied. It was also due to the fact that she asked for this request in a way that she wasn't close enough to the professor, but also very far. This goes into example how proxemics works into every single situation that you're in, right? So for example, the guy that asked for help for the scholarship was actually in the intimate proximity with the professor. That means around 0 to 18 inches, and that's actually a really good way to be from someone that you're asking a really big favor from. Secondly, the other student that was agreed to go out was in a social, actually more public distance. This is a distance where you are out maybe 12 to 18 feet away. This makes it much more mutual of an invitation. Someone else could have also agreed to go out with this lunch the day after the classroom. The other 2 students, for example, the gentleman that was denied the request to go play water polo, was actually a little bit in between the public distance, but he's actually more of a social distance. But this request was a bit more intimate for the professor, as he is playing water polo with other students and other colleagues. Lastly, the woman, she was more at a personal distance, but then again, like I said, an intimate relationship with a professor would have worked a lot more, so an intimate distance away from him would have worked a lot more, which was what the first guy did, 0 to 18 inches, which is always, the one that you want from someone that's asking a big favor from you. So how do I really see this play out in day-to-day life, and why I chose to keep on researching this was due to my job. I work in a customer-facing environment in sales, so here's where I have to always expect the bare minimum from people. The reason why I do this is because I want my expectations to be violated in a positive way. If you expect negatively from different types of people, you're going to realize that even a positive interaction will, even if it's not as positive as you'd hope, wouldn't really let you down. Justification for this theory was due to the fact that I work in a customer-facing environment and where I interact with people day to day. A big reason is because before, when I barely started working at my job, I used to always expect the most from customers, right? I always hope to have a good interaction. I always hope to get that A1 customer that you do everything for, but they're also very appreciative for. Unfortunately, that's not the case in every single customer. So now, a year into this new job of sales, I realized that I have to have a low expectation for any customer that comes in the store. That way, the violation that they produce from me is actually towards me is actually positive. No matter if it's a big, interaction where I make a lot of sales and it's super great, or an interaction where just people are kind to each other. When you expect the least from them, you expect them to be rude, you expect them to be in a rush, you expect everything that can possibly go wrong. When you expect that, the violation is actually positive, and you get to have a good day and a good interaction with that customer. Now, on the other hand, if you're expecting nothing from a customer and they come in and also, give you that nothing that you were looking for, your expectations are actually met positively again. You know, you don't even end up having a bad day because you in your mind already thought that this was going to happen. Do I see this as a theoretical or something that can actually be placed in day-to-day life? I see this as a theory that can actually be placed day-to-day life. Even in the following days from the professor, as we read the book, he did take out the students on those offers, and on the other ones he also realized what he did wrong, and he became theorizing as if this is actually something that can actually be seen when he goes out with his students. So he did also do a little bit of testing with his students. For example, the guy that asked for the scholarship, he began to talk to him a little bit more and realized that, yeah, he did deserve this. And for the woman also, another reason why I see this theory not only being theoretical, but also being used in day-to-day life is due to the article When Online Meets Offline, an Expectancy Violation Theory Perspective on Modality Switching. This is actually a journal by Arturo Ramirez back in 2008, where he did research on the expectancy violations that happened when you met someone online as compared to when you met them in person. Of course, we all know this, that you know, you might perceive someone completely different than others when meeting people online, especially back in 2008 when you know, social media and stuff like that were barely becoming a big thing in our compared to our modern day world. You know, it was easier to catfish people, get pictures off the internet from different people. This created a negative violation to many that met up with those people that they, you know, thought of as they were in a relationship back in the days where you can just meet people online and expect them to be that same person. Another claim or another journal actually to back my perspective and that this theory can actually be something that can be used day to day is from a journal made by actually Judee, Burgoon, Frank, and Bianca, called Toward a More Robust Theory and Measure of Social Presence, Review and Suggested Criteria by the MIT Press Journal in 2006. Here she goes a little bit more in depth with her colleagues as to why this theory doesn't have to be just theoretical, because we all see it day to day, from going to, you know, a regular food clerk that's checking you out at the grocery store, or from something more intimate that comes from, you know, your mom, your dad, or any type of intimacy. No matter what level you're in, the violation can always be positive or negatively, because you never know what you're really going into when you walk into a room full of people, even if you know them very well. So yes, in conclusion, this can actually be observed day to day, and I bet if you guys stand back and just look at your family members, how they interact with each other during these holidays, you'll actually be able to see for yourself what I'm talking about. Thank you.